1. What year did World War I begin? A. 1912. B. 1914. C. 1916. D. 1918. Answer: 1914. Explanation: World War I began in 1914, triggered by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. 2. Which treaty officially ended World War I? A. Treaty of Paris. B. Treaty of Versailles. C. Treaty of Ghent. D. Treaty of Rome. Answer: Treaty of Versailles. Explanation: The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended World War I and imposed terms on Germany. 3. Who led the Civil Rights March on Washington in 1963? A. Malcolm X. B. Martin Luther King Jr. C. Rosa Parks. D. John Lewis. Answer: Martin Luther King Jr. Explanation: Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech during this historic march. 4. What was the primary purpose of the Marshall Plan after World War II? A. Rebuild Europe's economy. B. Prevent the spread of communism. C. Fund the United Nations. D. Establish NATO. Answer: Rebuild Europe's economy. Explanation: The Marshall Plan aimed to rebuild war-torn Europe and prevent economic instability. 5. Which country launched the first artificial satellite, Sputnik, in 1957? A. USA. B. Soviet Union. C. Germany. D. United Kingdom. Answer: Soviet Union. Explanation: The Soviet Union launched Sputnik in 1957, marking the beginning of the space race. 6. What event brought the United States into World War II? A. German invasion of Poland. B. Bombing of Pearl Harbor. C. Fall of France. D. Attack on Britain. Answer: Bombing of Pearl Harbor. Explanation: The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 prompted the U.S. to enter World War II. 7. Which year saw the fall of the Berlin Wall? A. 1987. B. 1988. C. 1989. D. 1990. Answer: 1989. Explanation: The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, symbolizing the end of the Cold War and division of East/West. 8. Who was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize in Physics? A. Marie Curie. B. Rosalind Franklin. C. Lise Meitner. D. Dorothy Hodgkin. Answer: Marie Curie. Explanation: Marie Curie won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1903 for her work on radioactivity. 9. What global organization was formed after World War II to promote peace? A. NATO. B. League of Nations. C. United Nations. D. Warsaw Pact. Answer: United Nations. Explanation: The United Nations was established in 1945 to foster global cooperation and prevent conflicts. 10. What was the main cause of the Great Depression in 1929? A. Stock market crash. B. Dust Bowl. C. World War I reparations. D. Prohibition. Answer: Stock market crash. Explanation: The 1929 stock market crash triggered widespread economic collapse, leading to the Great Depression. 11. What major event marked the beginning of the Great Depression? A. Black Tuesday stock crash. B. Dust Bowl migration. C. Bank closures. D. World War II start. Answer: Black Tuesday stock crash. Explanation: Black Tuesday, 1929, marked a stock market crash that led to the Great Depression. 12. Which event led to the creation of NATO in 1949? A. Korean War. B. Soviet aggression in Europe. C. Cuban Missile Crisis. D. Berlin Airlift. Answer: Soviet aggression in Europe. Explanation: NATO was formed to counter Soviet expansion and ensure collective security. 13. What sparked the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962? A. U.S. missiles in Turkey. B. Soviet missiles in Cuba. C. Bay of Pigs invasion. D. Cuban embargo. Answer: Soviet missiles in Cuba. Explanation: the Soviet Union placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, prompting a tense U.S.-Soviet standoff. 14. What did the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution achieve? A. Ended slavery. B. Established income tax. C. Gave women the right to vote. D. Prohibited alcohol. Answer: Gave women the right to vote. Explanation: ratified in 1920, the 19th Amendment granted women suffrage in the U.S. 15. Who was the British Prime Minister during most of World War II? A. Neville Chamberlain. B. Winston Churchill. C. Clement Attlee. D. Harold Macmillan. Answer: Winston Churchill. Explanation: Winston Churchill led Britain during World War II with his resolute leadership. 16. What year did the U.S. land astronauts on the moon? A. 1967. B. 1969. C. 1971. D. 1973. Answer: 1969. Explanation: NASA's Apollo 11 mission landed Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon on July 20, 1969. 17. Which leader is associated with India's independence movement? A. Jawaharlal Nehru. B. Subhas Chandra Bose. C. Mahatma Gandhi. D. Indira Gandhi. Answer: Mahatma Gandhi. Explanation: Gandhi led India's nonviolent independence movement against British rule. 18. What global health crisis emerged in the 1980s? A. SARS. B. HIV/AIDS epidemic. C. Spanish flu. D. Polio outbreak. Answer: HIV/AIDS epidemic. Explanation: the HIV/AIDS epidemic emerged in the 1980s, leading to global health initiatives and awareness. 19. Which country experienced a communist revolution in 1949? A. Vietnam. B. Cuba. C. China. D. North Korea. Answer: China. Explanation: in 1949, the Chinese Communist Party, led by Mao Zedong, established the People's Republic of China. 20. What was the primary goal of the Civil Rights Act of 1964? A. End segregation. B. Lower taxes. C. Expand voting rights. D. Reduce poverty. Answer: End segregation. Explanation: the Civil Rights Act of 1964 ended segregation in public places and banned employment discrimination. 21. Which nation was divided by the Iron Curtain during the Cold War? A. France. B. Germany. C. Poland. D. Austria. Answer: Germany. Explanation: Germany was divided into East and West, with the Berlin Wall symbolizing the Iron Curtain. 22. What was the Manhattan Project? A. Building the Panama Canal. B. Developing the atomic bomb. C. Creating NASA. D. Drafting the UN Charter. Answer: developing the atomic bomb. Explanation: the Manhattan Project developed the first nuclear weapons during World War II. 23. What year did World War II end? A. 1943. B. 1945. C. 1947. D. 1949. Answer: 1945. Explanation: World War II ended in 1945 with the surrender of Germany in May and Japan in August. 24. What was the main goal of the League of Nations? A. Promote global trade. B. Prevent future wars. C. Establish colonial empires. D. Develop nuclear energy. Answer: prevent future wars. Explanation: the League of Nations was created after World War I to promote peace and prevent conflicts. 25. What did Rosa Parks' 1955 protests lead to? A. The Selma March. B. The Civil Rights Act. C. Montgomery bus boycott. D. The Voting Rights Act. Answer: Montgomery bus boycott. Explanation: Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat sparked the Montgomery bus boycott against racial segregation. 26. What country was the primary aggressor in the invasion of Manchuria?
A. Japan.
B. Germany.
C. Italy.
D. Soviet Union. Answer: Japan. Explanation: Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931, marking the start of its expansionist ambitions. 27. What did the Treaty of Trianon 1920 address? A. Ended World War I with Hungary. B. Established NATO. C. Created the EU. D. Divided Germany. Answer: ended World War I with Hungary. Explanation: the Treaty of Trianon formally ended World War I with Hungary and redefined its borders. 28. Who was the first U.S. president of the 20th century? A. William McKinley. B. Theodore Roosevelt. C. Woodrow Wilson. D. William Taft. Answer: William McKinley. Explanation: William McKinley was president from 1897 to 1901, beginning the 20th century in office. 29. What year did the United Nations officially form? A. 1943. B. 1945. C. 1947. D. 1949. Answer: 1945. Explanation: the United Nations was founded in 1945 after World War II to maintain international peace and security. 30. What conflict is considered the longest war of the 20th century? A. Korean War. B. Vietnam War. C. Cold War. D. Gulf War. Answer: Cold War. Explanation: the Cold War, lasting from 1947 to 1991, was a prolonged political and ideological conflict between the U.S. and USSR. 31. What event marked the start of the Great Depression? A. Wall Street crash of 1929. B. Dust Bowl migration. C. Prohibition Act. D. World War I reparations. Answer: Wall Street crash of 1929. Explanation: the Wall Street crash of 1929 caused a major economic downturn, marking the start of the Great Depression. 32. Which country was invaded by Germany to begin World War II? A. France. B. Poland. C. Czechoslovakia. D. Belgium. Answer: Poland. Explanation: Germany's invasion of Poland in 1939 led to the outbreak of World War II. 33. What was the Manhattan Project? A. A U.S. nuclear program. B. A civil rights initiative. C. A New Deal program. D. A space exploration project. Answer: A U.S. nuclear program. Explanation: The Manhattan Project was a secret U.S. program during World War II to develop nuclear weapons. 34. What was the main goal of the Civil Rights Act of 1964? A. Ban child labor. B. End racial segregation. C. Reduce income taxes.
D. Protect voting rights.
Answer: End racial segregation. Explanation: The Civil Rights Act of 1964 aimed to end racial segregation and discrimination in public spaces. 35. What did the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution achieve? A. Prohibition. B. Women's suffrage. C. Income tax introduction. D. Presidential term limits. Answer: Women's suffrage. Explanation: The 19th Amendment, ratified in 1920, granted women the right to vote in the United States. 36. Who was the British Prime Minister during most of World War II? A. Neville Chamberlain. B. Winston Churchill. C. Clement Attlee. D. Harold Wilson. Answer: Winston Churchill. Explanation: Winston Churchill led Britain through most of World War II with his inspiring leadership and speeches. 37. What was the purpose of NATO, founded in 1949? A. Promote world peace. B. Counter Soviet influence. C. Create a global trade network. D. End colonialism. Answer: Counter Soviet influence. Explanation: NATO was formed to counter the Soviet Union's influence during the Cold War. 38. Who led India's nonviolent independence movement? A. Jawaharlal Nehru. B. Subhas Chandra Bose. C. Mahatma Gandhi. D. Sardar Patel. Answer: Mahatma Gandhi. Explanation: Mahatma Gandhi used nonviolent resistance to lead India's struggle for independence from British rule. 39. What event triggered the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962? A. Soviet missiles in Cuba. B. U.S. blockade of Cuba. C. U.S. invasion of Cuba.
D. Bay of Pigs invasion.
Answer: Soviet missiles in Cuba. Explanation: The discovery of Soviet missiles in Cuba led to the Cuban Missile Crisis, a major Cold War confrontation. 40. Which country split into two nations in 1947 due to religious tensions? A. Germany. B. Korea.
C. India.
D. Vietnam. Answer: India. Explanation: India was divided into India and Pakistan in 1947 due to religious tensions between Hindus and Muslims. 41. Who was the U.S. president during the majority of the Great Depression? A. Herbert Hoover. B. Franklin D. Roosevelt. C. Harry S. Truman.
D. Woodrow Wilson.
Answer: Franklin D. Roosevelt. Explanation: Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal programs to help the U.S. recover from the Great Depression. 42. When did the United States land the first humans on the moon? A. 1967. B. 1969. C. 1971. D. 1973. Answer: 1969. Explanation: the Apollo 11 mission landed Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon on July 20th, 1969. 43. What was the main goal of the Marshall Plan after World War II? A. Prevent famine. B. Rebuild Europe. C. Create NATO.
D. Start the UN.
Answer: rebuild Europe. Explanation: the Marshall Plan aimed to rebuild Europe's economies and infrastructure after World War II. 44. Which major economic alliance was established in 1993? A. OPEC. B. EU, European Union.
C. ASEAN.
D. NAFTA. Answer: EU, European Union. Explanation: the European Union was established in 1993 to promote economic and political integration among its members. 45. What was the significance of the Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1954? A. Ended child labor laws. B. Outlawed racial segregation in schools. C. Allowed women to vote. D. Strengthened free speech rights. Supreme Court ruled that racial segregation in schools was unconstitutional, marking a civil rights milestone. 46. Which Cold War conflict involved the U.S. fighting in Vietnam? A. Korean War. B. Vietnam War. C. Cuban Missile Crisis. D. Gulf War. Answer: Vietnam War. Explanation: the Vietnam War was a major Cold War conflict involving U.S. forces from the 1950s to 1975. 47. When did the Berlin Wall fall, signaling the end of the Cold War? A. 1987. B. 1988. C. 1989. D. 1991. Answer: 1989. Explanation: the Berlin Wall's fall in 1989 symbolized the Cold War's decline and Germany's reunification. 48. What was the primary reason for the U.S. entry into World War I? A. Sinking of the Lusitania. B. Assassination of Franz Ferdinand. C. Zimmermann telegram. D. Attack on Pearl Harbor. Answer: Zimmermann telegram. Explanation: the Zimmermann telegram and unrestricted submarine warfare by Germany led the U.S. to join World War I in 1917. 49. What was the Holocaust during World War II? A. Jewish resistance movement. B. Genocide of Jews and minorities. C. Liberation of concentration camps.
D. Nazi propaganda campaign.
Answer: genocide of Jews and minorities. Explanation: the Holocaust involved the systematic murder of 6 million Jews and other minorities by Nazi Germany. 50. Which U.S. president introduced the New Deal? A. Herbert Hoover. B. Franklin D. Roosevelt. C. Harry S. Truman. D. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Answer: Franklin D. Roosevelt. Explanation: the New Deal was a series of programs introduced by Roosevelt to address the Great Depression.